Hello everyone, Tim from Aquatic Edge here. We are live. Hopefully we'll get some folks to join us here. We're live on site from customer's house in Irwin, Pennsylvania. So it is 15 degrees according to my truck right now. January, Western Pennsylvania. And it's polar vortex, cold snap we've been in for a while now. And been getting a lot of phone calls and emails and text messages from our clients, as well as some other folks just out of curiosity from other parts of the country, asking about their pond operating in the wintertime, what to do, what not to do, all that stuff. So I figured that today would be a good day to produce a video and take you out to a customer's house on a visit and see what their pond looks like and some issues that they're having and what we're going to do to fix that, and just talk in general about winter pond care. Some ponds they can operate pretty much all winter long. Some ponds they can't. Depends a lot on how they're filtered, how they're built, those sorts of things. And I'm just stalling a little bit here to let some folks log in. I know we did some quick little posts earlier this morning to make folks aware we're going to do a live video today and get some questions ready. So just in a minute here, we're going to step outside the truck and head out to the pond and take a look. But weather has a lot to do with this as well. Wind chill, ice formation, snow, rain, all that stuff. There's a lot of factors. So while there's no real cut dry black and white answer for a lot of these issues, and for a lot of questions as far as running your ponds in the wintertime, there's a lot of general things that we can talk about, and that will help out a lot. So take one more drink of coffee here and head out to the cold. I did get here about a half hour ago. Met with the homeowner. We kind of looked at the pond. I did a few things in preparation for the video. So I was already out once and freezing my butt off. So anyway, turn off the truck here. Big Gore-Tex gloves, nice and warm. Sorry about that, just got to put these gloves on. So that brings us to one of the first things I should mention, is that anytime you have to do anything with your pond in the wintertime when it's really cold like this, safety is number one. Make sure you're dressed appropriately. Never walk on ice on your koi pond. Trying to drop my keys in the snow. Never walk on the ice because you could hit a patch of the ice where you might think it's thick, but it might be actually pretty thin if you have aeration running or waterfall running, anything like that. So never walk on it. Wear waterproof gloves if you have to get into the pump or skimmer to pull out any leaves or ice chunks or anything like that. In general, just be smart about it. Don't do anything silly. So we're in the backyard now, and this is a frozen over pond. Pretty good. Okay, so you can pretty much see the whole pond now. This is one of my favorite customers' homes here. Their pond is beautiful. We did not build this pond. The pond was built, I think, about 15 years ago by another contractor. Really nicely done. You can't really tell now, but this pond is gorgeous during the warm season. So typically, this pond runs all winter long, and Peg, our customer, she said that this is the first year that they've had to turn it off, and the reason is because they were losing water, and I told her I'd come out and take a look and see what the culprit was, and take care of it. So I'm gonna flip this camera around. You don't need to see my face. There we go. So this pond is a typical ecosystem setup. It has a skimmer right there. The pump sits inside the skimmer. There's two waterfalls, one there, one there. They both converge, and this right here is the big pond. So what happened was an ice dam formed in the waterfall. So those who are running their ponds in the wintertime, you know, with this ecosystem style setup, you can certainly do that. You just have to watch for a few things. Here's one of the biofall waterfalls here, and you see this ice that is formed here and kind of come down. This is what's known potentially as an ice dam. A lot of times this will form while the water is flowing, and it actually will form over top of the waterfall. Water continues to flow underneath and comes out, and it doesn't cause any issues at all. However, if ice forms in a particular way, maybe the wind is blowing really hard one day, you know, and you get some buildup of ice on a side that kind of causes water to get diverted, that's when it becomes an ice dam, and actually, you know, it dams up part of the waterfall and pushes water over the edge of the liner, resulting in a leak. This is the number one thing to watch for if you're running your pond waterfalls in the wintertime in the northern climate. And you can see when the water is running, it creates some really beautiful ice formations. That's why I actually like to run waterfalls and ponds. Hi Kathy, how you doing? Yes, they do have koi and goldfish. They are safe and sound in the bottom of the pond below the ice. Thanks for your question. You know, these ice formations look gorgeous in the wintertime. So I actually love to run the ponds, as long as folks are okay with, you know, every day or so coming out and taking a look at their pond to make sure that they're not losing any water. Here's the other waterfall where it starts. There's some ice formed across here. So I'm not sure exactly which waterfall was causing the leak, but one of them was. So let's come back down here to the skimmer, and I will show you why. So what happens is if you allow the water to continue to run and you're losing water, obviously your water level in the pond is going to go down, and eventually the water is not going to be deep enough to make it into your skimmer, which is what happened here. You can see the water is supposed to be up to about here, coming into the skimmer, where the pump can then take it up to the waterfalls. In this case, Peg called us the other day. She said, Tim, my waterfall's not running anymore. Tried adding water, but it lost the water and quit running. So what we're going to do in this case is, because it's so cold, it is it's about, I think it was 15 degrees right now. Tonight's going to get down to 1 degree. We have a low of -3 the following day forecast. The next several days are just brutally cold. So we're not going to add water right now, and because I think another ice dam will probably just form. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull the pump out of here temporarily. We're going to put it in a bucket of water and keep it in their basement, so that way it's not in danger of freezing. Right here is the check valve. A lot of skimmers have check valves to keep the water up in the biofalls. If you're going to turn your pump off for any extended period of time in the wintertime, you want to make sure you release your check valve to let the water out of the pipe, so the water doesn't freeze in the pipes underground. Now, in a normal situation, if the water if the ice had formed up there, caused an ice dam, and we were able to catch it quickly, there would still be water in the skimmer. Excuse me. So if we wanted to turn the pump off for a little while, for a week or so during these really cold temperatures, we would simply unplug the pump, release the check valve, and leave the pump in, because it would be submerged in water. It's not going to be in danger of freezing that deep and causing any damage to the pump. Because there's no water in here, we're going to go ahead and pull the pump out. And I already loosened the connection there for the check valve. So we're going to pull that out and keep it safe for the next week or so. And once the weather warms up a little bit to some more normal temperatures, we'll come back out here. We will then add water to the pond and be able to hook the pump back up and fill it, or turn it back on and run this during the winter time again. A question a lot of folks have is, you know, the very basic question of, can my waterfall, can my pond run in the wintertime? And typically we say yes, as long as you have this sort of a setup. If your pond has a pump in the bottom of the pond, a lot of do-it-yourself type ponds, or ponds with just different filtration systems, in lieu of having a skimmer with a pump in the skimmer, we'll have a pump in the deepest section of the pond. If that is how your pond is set up, I do not recommend running it in the wintertime. What that can do is disturb the deeper water, where it's going to be a little bit warmer over the winter. That's where your fish hang out. They they want it to be nice and still and warm down there. But if you're pumping that water, you know, from a pump that's on the bottom up through a waterfall, well, what you're doing is basically super cooling the entire pond, and that's not good for the fish. That can make especially koi, they really don't like that. So if you're super cooling the water, there's a chance that you can lose fish to those colder temperatures than what they're used to. Of course, boy, it is cold out. You know, of course, you know, some folks I talk to, they have a pond set up like that, where the pump is on the bottom, and they say, hey Tim, I've been running my pump for years in the wintertime and never lost a fish. To that I say, great, that's awesome, but I just wouldn't recommend it. So like I said in the beginning of this video, you know, there's no cut and dry, black and white, perfect answer for all ponds. You know, there's generalities, there's things you want to watch for, and you know, and that sort of thing. So if I had a pump on the bottom of the pond, I certainly would not run it. It would get too cold. Does anybody have any other questions or anything? I'd be happy to answer them. Oh, okay, so ice. You can see this pond has a layer of ice over pretty much the whole thing. There are a couple of aerators running. However, because the water got shallow, the aerators actually popped up out of the water, so they're not doing their thing anymore. There is a hole in the ice at the base of the waterfall. You can't really see it through the snow. And over here at the skimmer, I opened up a hole in the ice to allow some off-gassing. Ice cover over a pond isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of an insulator. However, if you allow the ice to completely cover your pond, and with no holes for gas exchange, then you can actually suffocate fish. So that's a danger that you want to avoid by using an aerator or a de-icer, or both. Or if you're running your waterfalls, of course, that's more than likely going to keep a hole open just doing that. So if you have an instance like this where you come out, you know, you've for some reason had to turn off the pond, and ice is covering the entire pond. What you want to do, flip this back around here. What you want to do is take a broom, push broom, shovel, whatever you need to do, and first get the snow off a lot of the pond. That will allow some sunlight to penetrate the ice. That will allow some photosynthesis to happen if you have any algae growing in there in the wintertime. Get some oxygen going on for the fish. That's a good thing. So here we go. Okay, I had to get my drill here. So if you have a situation where all of a sudden the entire pond's frozen over and you're worried about your fish, you might be tempted to take a hammer or a big rock or something and just start banging on the ice to open up a hole. It may seem like a good idea, but it's definitely not. You will create some percussions and loud noises that are going to reverberate through the ice and potentially negatively affect your fish. Picture this. Picture you are sleeping in bed. It's 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and you're fast asleep, and all of a sudden somebody comes in your bedroom and starts beating pots and pans, real close to your bed, and just completely startles you and scares the daylights out of you. Well, that's kind of what you would be doing to their fish if you take a hammer and just start swinging it at this ice. It could, if you were in bed and that happened to you, you could potentially have a heart attack or something like that. Well, same sort of thing happens to the fish. I've seen it happen where fish have died because of people banging on the ice trying to open up a hole. So avoid that, definitely. Really big ponds are one thing. You can chip away at some ice in a little corner somewhere and not really affect the rest of the fish. Smaller ponds like this and smaller, you definitely don't want to do that. So you might be asking, well, how in the world do I get a hole open if I can't break it with a hammer or a rock? And there's a couple ways. One way is to boil some water in a big pot on your stove. Come out and just set the pot right on top of the ice, let it kind of melt through a little bit. But my method I prefer is to use a hole saw and a drill. And I'll show you actually down here. I already opened up a little area in front of the skimmer here. So this is kind of an odd situation here because we have a layer of ice, and then where the water dropped due to that ice dam that formed, we have kind of a void to where the water level is now. So this ice here is an inch or so thick, and below there we have just a little bit of ice. So if we were going to drill through, if I hit a rock. Never know what's going to happen on live TV, folks. Little rock down there. Anyway, what should happen is now it's so cold my battery drill is perishing, but you can see all you need to do is drill through, open up a little hole, and that would be enough for a small pond to allow some of those bad gases to escape, evaporate up out of the pond, and allow some some oxygen to get through from the atmosphere. So you can see right here, I've already cut through and pulled a little bit of ice out from this area here. So these fish are going to be perfectly fine in this pond, even though my drill kind of died on us here. What else? I'm not getting too many questions, so I'm trying to think of some things to go over. We will post this video on Facebook later, so it can be, you can reference it if you have any other questions in the future, if you weren't able to catch the live broadcast. So main thing is, make sure you keep an eye on your pond. If you're running it in the winter, and if you're not running it, make sure you're keeping a hole open in the ice. Fish need oxygen. That oxygen needs to come from the air. So make sure you're doing that. And you know, if you ever have questions, or in the local Pittsburgh, Western Pennsylvania area, need somebody to come out and take a look. If you're nervous about your fish, these really cold temperatures, we offer the service of house calls to come out and take a look, and we can take care of opening up a hole in your ice safely for your fish. We can eliminate ice dams if needed. We can pull pumps, we can get aeration going, we can get de-icers in. You know, we can do anything that is required in the wintertime. We do offer a maintenance program for pond owners, where we can come, you know, once a month or twice a month or once every 4 months, and make sure everything is going right with your pond. So that's something you can take advantage of. Be happy to help out there. So to recap, this is a customer of ours. She called because her pump quit working, and the reason the pump quit working was because an ice dam formed in the waterfall there, which caused a little bit of a leak. So water dipped below the entrance to the skimmer. So what we did is we came out, of course we diagnosed that issue. We removed the pump from the skimmer. You can see it's pretty dry down there. We don't want to leave the pump out in the cold in these kind of conditions if it's not submerged in the water. So basically we're going to let this pond sit as is for the next week or two until this cold front or cold snap goes away and we start getting some more average temperatures up in the 30s again. Then we'll come out and top off this pond with water. We'll get the pump reinstalled and get it running, and you know, and then once it is able to run for a little while, it will be able to kind of take care of itself for the rest of the winter. So, grab my tools here. That is it for our service call. I hope you enjoyed watching. My phone number, if you're watching this video and you weren't able to catch it live, but if any questions came up into your mind, anything we didn't cover, you want to call with questions, that's what we're here for. My cell phone number is 724-953-5539. Our website is aquaticedgeconsulting.com. You can also message us on Facebook. You can text my cell phone, you can call, you can email through the website. I'm just trying to get back in the truck here and get warm. Okay, hey Sean, hey Joey. You tuned in a little late. All the magic already happened, so you're gonna have to go back and watch this later once we post it. If you guys have any questions or want to add anything, please feel free now. So we just stopped at our customer's house, took a look at her pond. We diagnosed an ice dam that formed in a waterfall, and you know, we removed the pump. We're gonna go back in here in a minute and put the pump in a bucket of water, and we're gonna store that in the basement for the next couple weeks while this cold front works its way through. Once we get our temperatures back up around 30 or so and get some sunlight on this pond, a lot of that ice is gonna go away, and we'll reinstall the pump, get it flowing again, and we'll be back to normal. So the purpose of this video was to show that you want to keep an eye on your ponds in the wintertime, whether they're running or not. You know, fish are our friends, and we want to keep them happy, so that means periodically checking up on them. You know, when we build ponds very similar to the way this pond here was constructed, with the ecosystem style approach. That's the best way to be able to run your ponds in the wintertime. It's also the lowest maintenance that we've found. It's a great way to keep a pond looking good all year round. But that being said, no matter what kind of pond you have, thanks Joey, no matter what kind of pond you have, there is going to be a little bit of maintenance involved. There's no such thing as a no maintenance pond. There's no such thing as a no maintenance anything. Lawn, landscape, it all needs a little bit of maintenance. So you know, make sure you're checking up on your ponds, ponds, waterfalls, overflowing vases, whatever kind of water feature you have. Make sure you're taking a look at it periodically, especially in the wintertime. And if you need some help, by all means call us. That's what we're here for. Hope you enjoy the video. And hey DJ, how's it going? Dallas, you're a little bit late too. The video is at an end here. If it wasn't 15 degrees out, maybe we could have staged this a little bit better and stayed out longer, but I'm really cold, so time to go. See ya.